Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time to stop by and talk about LameStop. Uh-oh. Well, another red day, and it is what it is. We're better on the good days, on the bad days, for better or worse. And, well, we're down another 1.2% through, yesterday's session as well as this morning's pre-market. Not great. We are respecting our sell side liquidity on the 1 day, but we'll get more into the technicals, throughout the video. I also want to talk about, I guess it's the 5th of November, right? It just goes to show you the potential dangers of hype days, right? Specifically, non catalyst related hype days. So, it's a meme, right? Should we maybe beware of the swaps during this time? Perfect, great. But does that indicate, price improvement, right? No, not necessarily. Where it really is special to me is when you're kind of lining up, the memes or the hype days with a technical entry model. And I hate to be that guy, but we just don't see it unless you're fishing bottoms. Um, you know, uh, I don't know what you'd be doing here, right? Personally, I'm a confirmation trader, so I like to wait. I'm looking for entry models, and then I can set my risk based on those, and away we go. Protecting yourself, right? Because you see a lot of people, they get hyped up on a date, and then they YOLO into some out of the money short dated options or something crazy like that, right? So, it's always going to be best to protect yourself, and no one else has your best interests at heart, right? Other than Ryan, literally, and maybe Kitty. But even then, so he's a trader, right? So, everybody's always going to be looking out for themselves primarily, right? And whether or not, it aligns with your intentions or goals is not always the case. So, just be careful out there, right? Some of these hype days are dangerous and have hurt people in the past, and I assume will continue to do so. And that's why we love to just trade the technicals, right? So let's get into that a little bit, where we do have our sell side liquidity, respecting, sell side, buy side liquidity, just maybe a fancier word for supply and demand zones, a little bit more than that, just based on the formula that it calculates it on. But so there's going to be, a lot of stop losses for longs under this sell side, right? And we get a dip in here. So stop loss hunting. This is exactly what I interpret this as. And if I were them, that's what I would do. Because technical traders, they're going to have their stops under this trend line. And I said this was the lowest GameStop would ever go. Again, let's see if that holds true. And, if that were to hold true, we're not going to be in this area for a long time. So, if you want to buy common shares, okay. If you want to buy in the money leaps, sure. We're talking 12 months plus, preferably 16 to 18 plus, right? A lot of time because there's no entry model. And then, as you've learned a little bit, hopefully, while hanging out here on your own through reading of options as a strategic investment, PDF, you can get it for free. The theta decay curve is not linear and exponential, and when we're on the front end of that curve, we don't really suffer any loss, right? But when you're on the back side of that curve, you are getting hammered, which is why short dated options are so aggressive, specifically if they're out of the money. So yeah, great place again, and I've been saying that for a while though, So that's why you want the time. That's why you want them in the money, So you're not exposing yourself too aggressively to any downside that could potentially still occur because we don't have confirmation of an entry model, right? Okay, cool. I'm glad you're on board here. So a lot of stop losses below the trend, right? A lot of stop losses below the sell side liquidity. Market maker says, yummy. I love shares of GameStop. Give me, right? But potentially, we've got that same thing down here as well. I'll be a cat's uncle if we go below this, though. And on that note, I don't think, again, we're going to be in this area long if that holds true, right? Probably dip in here this morning, and then this afternoon for the rest of this week, away we go up and maybe back to our trend line and then consolidate there. Or I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. These are crazy times here for GameStop. That was a hard rejection of the 200 the other day. Specifically, well, it did break the 200 intraday, um, right? In pre-market here, but then slam back down at market open, so you don't see that part. But we hit our 4-hour order block, which is all the way up here, right? And that's where the hard rejection happened. So intraday, and then on the 1 day, a little bit different. That's why I like to use the 4-hour chart typically, because then you get the after hours and the pre-market info, which isn't included in the 1 day, if you didn't know that. Yeah, so what am I looking for, I guess, to swing this around? Well, it's a reversal signal. It's going to be the same thing as I was looking for last time, and at which point we did have a nice entry model with, a decent trade on. So reversal, 21 is my light blue, 50 is my dark blue, exponential, so they move a little bit quicker than simple averages, right? So I want those to reverse, which we had yesterday, but what didn't we have with that? A key level breakout, and we want to pair those together, right? We want these to reverse plus the price, the bar, not the line, to get on top of the red line, the key level, right? So this is where we rejected, and this is acting like VWAP in a way. It's just a more defined, cemented in level, right? These are very subject to change quite quickly. This is kind of more steady and in its place and harder to change, right? Because it's got the longer average on it. And this is my 200, right? So we need on the 15-minute, and that's where I look for this first, but then we'd apply outwards in time, right? To the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the 1 day, right? So we need to have this reverse, which we did, and then reverse back, and this can whipsaw back and forth, and that's why again we need to pair it with the key level. So let's get that price above 22.5 today. I don't think that should be very hard considering how low we are, but whatever. It's at this point I'm just buckled in, ready for the ride, and it's okay. I'm just gonna keep telling myself that, anyways. We got earnings in 28 days, so maybe 2 weeks out, we should get an earnings announcements to the date, right, to cement that, and at which point I think the IV is going to start clicking up. Let's see how that is. I've not really been paying too much attention because we're just been plummeting down, right? It's chilling, 53.5, which it's been a lot lower. So I think people are starting to get in on that, maybe a little ahead of time with those longer dated calls. 24 percentile still low, right? So we'd like to see this. We want to be buying our calls when this is low. That 1%, less than 25%, let's say, and the IV 30, below 60, right? We see the average is 72, right? So definitely below the average. But then if you look at the high, 146, and when did that happen? Oh, well, during earnings, obviously, right? And then just keep the low on mind if you ever want to go in again on those longer dated in the money options, the big old leaps. If you do get to historically low IV, how do you not at that point, right? So that's non-confirmation trading, right? Where you're just getting in on really good lows that you're comfortable with some time, right? So earnings around the corner. We see the new Game Boy game come out, Buck and the Cursed Cartridge. I'd like to see more of that. To be honest, I think that's great, pretty cool. Jealous I don't have one. Living in Canada, we don't have access to that, unfortunately. We see the power packs popping off with some success, and they're onboarding streamers for that, which is awesome. How do I get my name in that pool, right? As a Magic the Gathering content creator for the last 5 years, so I'm big in the trading card space, and we've dabbled with Pokemon games here and there. I know my Charizards and my Pikachus. And we've got a nice community to do that with as well. So that would be super exciting. Let me know if you're interested in doing any of that on the channel. Looking at Katie's charts, it's the 4-hour PMO that I like here. So again, reversal signal, 21, crossing the 50, pairing that with a key level breakout, and then applying that outwards in time to our 1 hour, right? Where we have the same thing, which we got a lot of work to do there. Wait till you see the 4-hour. Right? So things are not looking good. And I've been saying that for some time, that things look super duper bearish here. Technically speaking, right? But it is what it is. And eventually, I think here on the 1 day, we're gonna bottom out again somewhere here, and then just spring back to life. If not, then there's a big old section here, and at that point, whatever. I'm buckled in. I'm committed. I'm here for the cause, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, no matter what. Right? Maybe if we get bored enough, then we'll start reading and learning more about options and stuff. So the longer of a delay and the more downtime we have, the more we get to size in and dollar cost average ourselves to a cause that we believe in, right? Ryan, I do believe has our best interests in heart. Furthermore, we get to increase our education, our knowledge base, right? So, if I was the guy losing money on this trade, right? If this trade was blowing up my life and making me age out ahead of time, I wouldn't want, like, one kitty was bad enough. Could you imagine a whole bunch of educated individuals who are like committed to the cause? That's not good. It only took them 50K, baby. So, and then there's so many other companies, out from that now. I'm not saying anything there, but in the future, there's going to be other opportunities. And you as an investor for GameStop want to be on the lookout for that. And then you could maybe submit it to Ryan. Be like, Ryan, I got a pitch for you. I got the fat pitch, bro. Wouldn't that be something, right? Maybe not necessarily for yourself, but for Ryan and the community at large. And then so we want people to know how to do this, right? And that's what I'm here for. I don't want to lay out the hype days. If there is a hype day that is like aligning with my bullish setup, great. I'm in for it, and I'm paying attention then. But for now, I'm optimistically cautious, right? Just observing. Not all the memes and all that are relevant year after year after year after year to year 6, right? Were they relevant during that period of time? Absolutely. And do you want to forecast into the future? Maybe, but like, how many times in a row can you do that? So, just being, a little bit of a pessimist here as well. Gotta play both sides, right? And that's what any decent trader does, is trying to see things from both sides of the trade. Because if you just glaze over and don't even understand, the other viewpoints, you probably get into trouble more than not. So, chillin', waiting for those reversal signals, and then Kitty chart, the 4-hour PMO is just kind of what we've been looking for here. It's been super, super kind to us as an indicator as I become more comfortable with these. Because, when we started the channel, I was like, I got to learn these. I got to work with them. We time bottom here, and we kind of called the reversal. And then, if the reversal doesn't hold, the 1 day can't reverse, and the price crumbles further. And then here we are, So that's that. We want this to bottom out again, right? We want to pull, I guess, this up here somewhere. I don't really know where to put it yet, but higher than this low, right? We want higher lows on the 4-hour PMO. That's kind of what we're looking for here. Get this reversed, and maybe that's going to be enough for the 1 day to come out. And there goes my internet. So thank you all so much for watching. Starlink goes out at the same time every day. What is up with that? Cheers. Have a great day. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and have a great day. I'll see you soon tomorrow.